Okay, so you just heard the car start. This is definitely not the first start up, obviously. I've had the car running for maybe a month now, I want to say. Reason I haven't really been able to post videos is that I just got a battery last week for the car. Every time I started up, it had to be boosted off or whatever. And I would have recorded more of the install and the work that I did. But it was just a lot going on. I had some guys come over. Well, one guy at a time. One guy came over. He was supposed to drop the motor in. He had an engine hoist and everything. He was going to drop the motor in. He didn't work out. The second guy actually somewhat worked out. He did drop the motor in, but he didn't help finish out anything else. So it was left to me to um, completely finish it by myself, at least wiring it up, putting the wire harness on here, and putting all the hoses and buying new hoses and installing the radiator, stuff like that. And not that I didn't want to do it, it's just that this is my first engine swap ever. So this is my first kind of like budget bill project car, and I wanted to kind of be able to deviate to someone who knew what they were doing. But I was pretty much left to forums, and YouTube wasn't very helpful for this car. It wasn't a lot of videos dealing with this car, but got it done. It does start now. Got a battery. It does fire straight up. The bad news is that, well, I'm going to need a new transmission. The automatic transmission here seems to be fried. I don't know. Maybe it could use a flush, but I think the safest way is to just go ahead and get a new transmission. So with that being said, upon doing tons and tons of research over the last couple of months and hearing a lot of people in the forum saying that this car is very hard to work on, and if it wasn't maintained very well, it wasn't necessarily the most reliable car. And I wanted this to be a daily driver. So kind of hoping that I kind of circumvent some of those problems by knowing where the motor comes from, that it's kind of a low mileage motor, a little over 100,000 miles, and hopefully finding a similar transmission that's in pretty good shape. So I'm hoping to circumvent some of these problems, because this car obviously was not taken care of. It's been sitting for over 10 years, and it's a 91, so it's an older car, and it's sitting for a very long time. A lot of stuff needs to be replaced on it. I will say this will probably be the last car I buy that's been sitting, unless it's just something I absolutely have to have. The price was right on it, and I was like, man, this is a cool car. I really want it, and I jumped at the opportunity to get another daily driver. And so it's been a little bit of a hassle, but I must say I'm still happy with the car. I'm not upset with it, even though I can't drive it. I've driven it around the neighborhood, just testing it, figuring out the transmission is no good. But I do have a battery for it now. I can start it up at will. It will drive. It just doesn't go very fast due to the transmission shaking, and I'm too scared to really push it to see what exactly will happen. But there will be more videos coming soon as school's about to start back, and I'll get a refund check as well as other money. So that'll kind of fuel getting some work done. And so I'm hoping to have this car up and running and daily driven by February at the latest. I'm hoping. It's not a guarantee, because there still could be other stuff that I need done, but I'm hoping. I'm aiming for February right now. I'm not rushing it anymore. I'm just taking my time and enjoying the build. But I'm gonna try to keep it cheap as possible. I've sunk some money into it so far, but I'm gonna try to keep it as cheap as possible from here on out, and film a little bit more, because there's not much on this car. There's not a ton of videos on this car on YouTube. There's a few guys out here, but there's not just a ton of content for this car out. So I'm gonna, try to start showing something, and I'm gonna release a video of all the hoses and wires and things that I hooked up to this motor, so you guys can see what I did, and if someone else is thinking of doing this and may want to check it out. So I'm gonna drop a video soon of me going through the engine just a little bit. So just stay tuned, and I have more footage.